Hello, my beautiful brats. We need to talk about Marc Jacobs. Because while everyone is busy obsessing over the next it bag, the next viral trend, or whatever aesthetic TikTok has decided we're supposed to have this week, Marc Jacobs quietly reminded everyone why he remains one of the most important designers in fashion. On June 29th, Marc Jacobs presented his Spring 2027 collection at the New York Public Library. The show lasted less than 4 minutes. 4 minutes. Some people spend longer deciding what to order at a Starbucks. Yet somehow in under 4 minutes, Marc Jacobs delivered more personality, more color, more fashion history than many collections managed to communicate in an entire season. And that is exactly why we're talking about it today, because this wasn't just another runway show, it was a love letter to fashion itself. Sincerely written by... Can we have a moment of honesty? Fashion has been feeling very serious lately. Very quiet luxury, very beige, very bland, very look how understated my $20,000 sweater is. And while there's absolutely nothing with minimalism, sometimes fashion should be fun. Fashion should surprise you. Fashion should make you smile. Fashion should make you dare to be yourself, and fashion should make you stop scrolling. Marc Jacobs understands that better than almost anyone, which is exactly what happened with Spring 2027. The collection was titled Gratitude, something my mother tells me I need to be more of. Honestly, I think that title tells you everything. In the show notes, Jacob described creating as his truest form of self-expression and spoke about gratitude for the people, experiences, and moments that shaped his life and career. Now, this might sound simple, but when you look at the collection, you realize this wasn't just gratitude, it was recognition. Recognition of fashion's history. Recognition of the designers who came before him. Recognition of his very own journey, because nearly every look contained references to fashion's past. And if you're a fashion history nerd like me, or the princess of fashion, this collection was basically candy. One of the things I love most about Marc Jacobs is that he isn't afraid to acknowledge inspiration, something Pharrell cannot do. Marc Jacobs credits it openly. The collection referenced designers and collections including Junya Watanabe, Spring 1996, Prada Spring 2027, Yves Saint Laurent Spring 1993, Chanel Spring 1993, even his own Marc Jacobs collections from Spring 1998 and Spring 2000, and his Louis Vuitton era in 2009. Fashion students everywhere are probably losing their minds right now, because these aren't random references. These are significant moments in fashion's history, and Jacob transformed them into something that felt modern instead of nostalgic, which is much harder to do than people recognize. The color, oh my goodness. This collection looked like someone took every rule about matching colors and threw it out the window. And I mean that as the highest compliments possible. Bright pinks, electric blues, rich purples, jewel tones, bold tights, cuntiness everywhere, color blocking everywhere. The collection felt like technical color dreams. There were sheer layers, tiny dresses, PVC fringe, structured miniskirts, embroidered jackets, corsets, layered necklaces, stacked belts. All of it is creating wonderful collisions between the past and the present. Fashion that felt playful, fashion that felt joyful, fashion that actually looked like someone enjoyed creating it. One thing that stood out to me is that Marc Jacobs seems to be moving away from some of the exaggerated silhouettes we've seen in recent years. Instead, this collection felt wearable, not boring, not commercial in a negative way, but wearable to the humankind, where pieces that can exist both on the runway and in real wardrobe. And I think that's important because consumers today are becoming more selective of what they decide to put on their body. People want fashion that excites them, but they also want fashion that they can imagine themselves wearing. Marc Jacobs seems to be understanding that balance significantly. This collection arrives during a very interesting moment for the Marc Jacobs brand. Recently, LVMH sold the brand through a joint venture involving WHP Global and G Apparel Group. In other words, major changes are happening behind the scenes. And whenever ownership changes, people naturally start asking questions. What happened next? Will the brand change? Will the creative direction shift? Who knows? What does the future look like? We don't have all of those answers yet, But if this collection tells us anything, it's that Marc Jacobs remains very clear about who he is. And that clarity matters, especially during the periods of transition. What impressed me the most wasn't the references, it wasn't the colors, it was the confidence. Marc Jacobs wasn't chasing trends here. He wasn't trying to become someone else. He wasn't trying to convince us he was relevant. He simply reminded people who he was. He reminded everyone why he became relevant in the first place. There is a difference. One approach follows fashion, the other helps create it. And Marc Jacobs has spent decades doing exactly that. I would love to go to the Met Gala of Marc Jacobs. Spring 2027 felt like a celebration of color, a celebration of fashion, history, a celebration of creativity, and maybe most importantly, a celebration of joy. Because fashion could be serious, but it could also be intellectual. Fashion could be political, but it could also be art. And fashion could also be anything anyone desires and wants it to be, especially fun. And Marc Jacobs gave us that exactly. For 4 very colorful minutes, he gave us Marc Jacobs. What do you think about the Marc Jacobs Spring 2027? Did you love the colors? Did you love the references? Are you still a quiet luxury girl through and through? No shade, love that too. I want to know in the comments, brats. Sincerely written in style, Mrs. October, aka the Princess of Fashion, Haley Henderson.